said, are you ready? Woo!
Good
What's
morning. Welcome to the Powerslam
How we doing?
Platter. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Trying to get all this working, but the grid went down.
Yep. I think your grid might be still going down because we've had some connection issues, but we're going to get through it because you're a little choppy already, but we'll be fine. We'll make it.
Okay.
I think, to start this off, I think we may have caused a glitch in the Matrix.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So we obviously used to do the Friday special where we would talk about like craziness in the world, and we'd talk about some wrestling or just trending topics. And then we kind of called an audible and we went to a full-fledged wrestling show. And I was on Twitter perusing, and I believe we may have caused a glitch in the Matrix, and our timelines might have merged because I don't have sound on the video, but check this out. Yes, you see that correctly. That is Mr. Hulk Hogan at the National Convention.
Is he running for vice president or something?
No, he is just cutting. So I don't know why I don't have sound, but basically he is just cutting a promo about why Trump should be president, essentially. But I saw that this morning and I was like, hey, look, our timelines have merged. We now have political and wrestling all in the same thing. We can just talk about them both, all coinciding.
Wow, way to go, Hulk. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but whatever.
We live in a wild world.
I think we're living in a reality show.
I think we are too. It's like a giant movie, and like you said the other day, you live in a wrestling storyline in your head, and it almost seems like that's what we're living in real life now. Like the world has taken on the pro wrestling mindset, and everything is just a big story.
Yeah, I don't like it. I like being the only one with the wrestling mindset. Yeah. Now everybody's getting into it. I guess I'm going to have to come back to reality. Snap back to reality. Oop, there goes gravity.
There you go. Just go into a full wrap this morning.
Hey, I'll do what I can.
It is crazy though. But that shows you what WWE's influence is. It's influenced political things. It's influenced the entire world now, where everyone has adapted the wrestling mindset. So congratulations, wrestling.
Yeah, way to go. Way to go. As long as it doesn't show up on the wrestling shows. I don't want to I see that crap the rest of the time.
I saw a thing earlier that said 3 people that spoke at the Republican National Convention had taken a Stone Cold Stunner.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say Donald Trump is the only president who is a WWE Hall of Famer. So
that is true. So, yeah, it was super interesting. But, yeah, our timelines have now merged, and there is wrestling and politics now. So,
all right. Great. Well, did you know the grid went down too?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, Terminator's real.
Yeah, I obviously not the same show, but I found that very interesting with all the stuff that they keep talking about and all the stuff happening in the world. So if you're not on Twitter and you don't pay attention, we'll just do a little PSA here. Go do some research and, just make sure you're paying attention.
Well, it kind of fits because in what was it, WWE 2K16, Terminator was a wrestling character. So,
oh really?
There
you go.
Yes, the T. Right. There was 2 of them: the Terminator 1, Terminator 2. So they're both.
Really, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Look at that wrestling history we've done this morning.
Well, I try to be a historian, but did you watch Monday Night Raw?
I did. Well, I watched most of it, kind of in and out. Yeah, I felt like I was super busy this week, so it was really hard to just sit and watch like multiple hours of wrestling. So I watched a lot of it, and then I went back and tried to rewatch Raw. Hindsight, good luck trying to find a freaking replay of Raw anywhere, because that's what my kid wanted to watch last night. And I was like, perfect, I'll watch it. I'll get kind of reacclimated before tomorrow, so I have plenty of stuff to talk about. And then I could not find that damn thing anywhere. I even went to the USA Network app because I originally thought Peacock, which would make perfect sense because that's where all of the Raws are. But they have the last one was from like a year or so ago, or even further back.
So they're usually like a month or two behind. But I think I want to say like Hulu probably has the immediate contract.
That must be where it's at then, because I couldn't even get it on the USA Network. I typed in my TV stuff, and it told me that I was not authorized to view the content. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So,
okay,
we called an audible, and I watched AEW.
Yeah, because Hulu. Let's see, because Hulu's got a small library of WWE too, but it only goes back 10 years probably. That's probably when WWE got on Hulu. But
yep.
I think, and that's what I think moving forward with Netflix, like they'll have a library, but from starting point at Netflix on.
Well, good. Then I'll actually be able to find the damn show and I can watch it.
Don't quote me on that. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just guessing.
That's pretty much the story of our entire business. So,
That's true.
What I did watch, what'd
you think?
It was good. I mean, I felt like the whole week of wrestling almost like it wasn't, I don't want to say it looked like a throwaway, but they advanced some storylines, but there was a lot of randomness as well. I felt like for all of the shows, I don't know, which again, I'm getting back into being a very consistent watcher of all of it. Normally I just kind of follow along on Twitter or X or whatever, and then I'll watch it when I'm home because I'm not much of a like sit in front of the TV for 3 hours. So if we're sitting, at a night, I can kind of skim through it and get the gist of what's going on. But sitting down and watching 3 hours of wrestling is very, very difficult.
It can be time consuming. Well, it's not for me because I don't have live TV, so I can fast forward a little bit. But.
Yeah, and that's where I'm learning. I got to record these all, but no, I felt like I loved the Eric Rowan promo. I rewatched it. I watched it live. I did catch that whole thing. I love that they're using the realism. I think that's where you go with these things. And like I said, I think I said that on last week's one that if they could figure out a way to use some sort of AI vignette version of Bray to aid that storyline of him kind of being there in spirit or whatever, with like him cutting that very real promo. The only problem with it was it didn't make Rowan look weak. It added to the why he did it. But then when Bo Dallas was out there, I felt like I get the back and forth of the Uncle Howdy and Bo Dallas, but wouldn't you want to keep Bo Dallas strong as well? That way it's not like, I don't know. I thought that was super weird the way they did that.
I kind of see it being Bo Dallas, like a Finn Balor demon thing.
Okay.
That like Uncle Howdy's the dark part of Bo, and it has to be pulled out. Like almost like Bray Wyatt and Fiend, although they did a horrible job with the Fiend.
I think, didn't you say Jekyll and Hyde the other day?
Yeah, like a Jekyll and Hyde thing. Like that could be too. And
yeah,
I watched half of Raw Rewind, and then I moved to highlights. And what I noticed when Chad Gable and the Creed brothers were beating the crap out of Bo, like even the highlights didn't show. The White Six came out, but the highlights didn't show if they made it to the ring.
Oh yeah, they made it. It did, but it was like Undertaker-esque where it took them. I mean, it had to have been at least a full minute, if not a couple minutes, I believe. Yeah. Again, don't quote me. I didn't time it or anything, but it was an aggressive amount of time to where like those guys are in the ring going like this, like trying to. And it just kind of takes away from it. I don't know. I love the supernatural stuff with when they do those characters, but they tend to make it like a goofy cartoonish thing. Like it's almost like they can't wrap their brain around it being a real thing. So they try to make it overboard. Like when they gave Bray the bright ass red lights that were obnoxious to try to watch through. Like I feel like they always do that with the supernatural where they make it like this cartoonish character. And it's like, well, I don't think that's what they're going for. I'm pretty sure that's not what they were trying to accomplish when they were building these characters, but you want to keep them like this fearful thing. And again, I said it last week, but when they killed Chad Gable and then he comes back the next week on Raw, it's like, okay, well, why'd you kill him then? Just beat the hell out of him and then have him come out all wrapped up and he's injured for the next couple weeks. And then you have him pulling the strings, talking back and forth with his lackeys, and he's calling them to go attack the Wyatt Six or whatever the hell they do with it. But I feel like murdering the man and then bringing him back Monday on Raw was just like, okay. And then you have these guys in there beating the hell out of Bo Dallas, and his people are coming to save him, and they're taking 20 goddamn minutes to get to the ring. It's like, you're just like, okay, well, when are they going to get there?
It's like Jeff Hardy when Matt Hardy was getting beat, and Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, he's out there going.
Yes, he's going. I got to get my shit in before I come save you, bro.
Yeah. If you're trying to blur that line with the realism, you have to think about those things. I feel like if they would have just the lights go out and they were all under the ring. I mean, because what is there? 4 of them that were coming out. So then the lights come back on and they're all standing on every side of the ring. There's one on each side. They're all in their character. The lights are flashing. You're doing your thing. And then they just slowly walk up on the ring. And then they slowly combine and get in the ring. And then you just have them bludgeon the shit out of those 2 guys. But instead you waste 20 minutes of everyone's lives watching it. And then Chad Gable bails. And then once they get to the ring, those guys bail. And then they all just get in the ring and pose. They did it all for a pose at the end of the thing. And it was like, okay, I mean, I guess I get, but I don't know. I just feel like with the supernatural stuff, they struggle to wrap their brains around making it real.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Bruce Pritchard was a big proponent with The Undertaker in the early days. And I mean, he's still there. So why don't they kind of let him take control of that? I mean, I could be dead wrong too. But I mean, The Undertaker back in the early 90s was crazy.
Well, go out and get like a horror writer. Go get a horror writer and a horror set designer and bring them in and consult with them. Hey, we have these 2 characters, especially when you're moving to Netflix. Make them the supernatural thing where you literally turn WWE into a horror movie during their segment. Whatever's happening, they bust into one of the locker rooms and there's 3 or 4 of them sitting back there, and they just pop into the locker room and they just go in there and tear it up, beat the hell out of all of them, and then the lights go out and they're gone. You could do so many different things to keep keep them monsters, especially during the Netflix era. And then, just turn it into a legit horror movie while they're out there. You're already doing the suspense of disbelief. They're creating mini action movies all the time. And then they're doing some of the comedy skits, whatever. Why not incorporate an entire horror edition to WWE where you have this Wyatt Six, but their stories are being written by a horror movie writer. Their stuff's being designed by a costume and set design team that all works for horror movies or haunted houses, or go out of the box and hire people that think in that realm and let them combine with the wrestling brains and create some badass storylines and cool moments that it's like, oh, this has never been done before.
Yeah. I don't know what it'll probably be a very long-term story, I'm hoping, and then it'll really become badass. So
and obviously they can take it wherever they want. So
I'm really starting to like the Dom Rhea Eddie Guerrero China reenactment thing, but now there's a new twist. You have Liv involved, and now you have Yeet. Jey Uso in the mix. He got Rhea Ripley's phone number.
Oh man!
So I wasn't seeing that one coming, but pretty good surprise. So
it just adds another. They needed to change it up a little bit. They needed to add another element to it. But again, so did the exact same spot happen a second time, or did I watch the same clip over again?
No, where Dom on top got hit and landed. we had a Brazzers reenactment. Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
again, why do they keep doing the same spots? Like, there's a million ways you could have done that. Like a million different ways they could have went about that. And it's like, because I watched the clip and part of me was watching it going, wait, was this? Because obviously it's been, what, 4 days since I've watched Raw. So it was like, wait, was this the week prior? Was this week? I couldn't. So again, I wish they would like jump to like coming up with different versions of it.
Yeah. Well, Rhea Ripley came out and Liv Morgan ran away again. So
they did.
Some mind games coming there.
They did go to a different way to get the tape out, though. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
They showed up on McAfee's show this time and delivered the tape, and then Pat delivered it to commentary on Raw. So, like, they did change that up a little bit. And you see there were signs this week, too? I feel like we're speaking things into existence.
I didn't see that. So they didn't show what little I watched. I didn't see the crowd too much. So,
yeah. So there were, I mean, there wasn't a ton, but there were probably 10 or so signs out in the crowd. So I feel like it's like we spoke things into existence. So let's go ahead and say, eventually we're going to be commentating for one of these wrestling promotions. We're going to put that in the air, because if this is how this works, then let's just keep saying things that we get to do, and then let's hope that it works out.
There we go. Booker T's going to take a personal day, and we're going to come in NXT start there. So there we go. We spoke it into existence.
I have a comment on commentary when we get to AEW anyway. So that was part of my notes from AEW.
Oh, awesome. So I'm looking forward to the Damian Priest Gunther matchup coming up at SummerSlam. Those two behemoths, which I watched the Damian Priest Braun Strowman match. That seemed like it was a squash match. I was a little surprised by that, with Braun Strowman being as big and monstrous as he is. But I mean, that's trying to push Damian. I get it. But it was, I was just like, Braun Strowman, dude, I bet like he's just a big, powerful man, and you just took him out.
Yep. I mean, it helps him, but do you feel like he's playing a character that's not even close to his real personality? Because it seems like he's having to act a lot, and it does not come off very genuine. I feel like a lot of times it seems like he is reading off of a teleprompter, and this is how I am supposed to talk to you. Like that, I feel like that's how most of his interactions backstage are like. And they're supposed to be this like, I almost can't figure them out. Like they started off as this like dark menacing thing, and then they've almost like slid slightly into the comedy stuff, especially with like the Liv and Dom and like Carlito poking his head out and going, "That's cool," or like like they kind of went into the comedy portion, and then you got like last night or Monday night, whenever Damian walked up behind Dom and he kind of like smacks him on the shoulder and taps him. Like they're supposed to be playing these like big, badass, dark, menacing like people. And I feel like Rhea has that look and that feel. The rest of them could, but they're all sliding into that like chummy boys joking around backstage, which maybe that's what they're supposed to be doing.
It's kind of all over the place. I mean, you kind of have, I feel like you have Carlito and Dom and Damian with the Hispanic background, like embracing the heritage. That's where I feel like Damian Priest would being that. I mean, being the gothic, dollar store Undertaker is not where it's at. But I mean, and then you have Finn and JD McDonough. Finn fits because he's got the demon. JD is just there. Carlito just appeared. I mean, if it would have stayed Rhea, Finn, and Damian, they could have pulled something off. But now it's just like, I don't know what's going on. But I mean, I feel like there will be a split eventually. And it's going to be Carlito, Damian, and Rhea, and then Dom, Liv, Finn, and JD.
Okay, that makes sense. So maybe that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to inevitably divide it. It's just super wonky. Like it's like old school NWO. There's almost getting to be too many members. It doesn't really click, or I don't know. I don't know if this reference is going to be very obscure, but their freaking music, it sounds like on the newer Willy Wonka when the Oompa Loompas come out. their entrance music, the beginning of that song, sounds almost identical to when the Oompa Loompas start singing their songs in that movie, and it makes me laugh every time they come out. So that kind of takes me out of it. Just doing that, I immediately picture Willy Wonka and the Oompa Loompas. Yeah. If I could find it and find the sound.
Yeah, I laugh because every time they go to their locker room, they're playing WWE 2K. Somebody is.
Yes.
I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, it doesn't make it. Their whole character makes no sense. Like, I don't know. I don't understand. I wish they would make them either a comedy act or make them a. Sorry, I was trying to find the Oompa Loompa sound to see if I could get it to play, but I'll have it queued up for next week's episode. I'll have it ready so I can play the difference of what the two sound like. But
well, while we're on the Oompa Loompa topic, I have a fun fact for you.
Okay.
This is not wrestling related at all, but you said Oompa Loompa, so my brain. I thought somebody was peeking in at me. It's a ghost looking. So the Minions was based off of Oompa Loompas and Jawas.
Yeah. So I also that's not what I thought you were going to say. So there is also a picture of back in the 50s or 60s. I don't want to say what group it was because I don't remember and I don't want to blame someone, but they were testing the effects of chemicals and gassing children, and they put them in these little suits. They were little like iron, and they literally looked identical to the Minions. Their suits looked, I mean, damn near identical to the Minions. Again, I'm going to attempt to Google this, but I'm going to try to talk to you and Google this at the same time. But it is like astounding how similar that they look.
Yeah. Well, I do have some quick match recaps from Monday Night Raw. I'll go over those real quick while you're Googling. Sheamus defeated Bronson Reed. Sonya Deville defeated Zelina Vega. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark defeated Katana Chance and Caden Carter. Jey Uso defeated Dom Mysterio. And Ilya Dragunov defeated Sami Zayn. Disqualification because Braun Breaker basically sprinted from the entrance ramp around and nailed Dragunov.
Yeah.
And then delivered one to Sami Zayn after the DQ.
He hit one hell of a spear. Dude,
he's the modern day Goldberg. That's where Goldberg needs to have his retirement match with Braun Breaker. It will be a squash match. Sorry, Goldberg, but you're passing the torch to the next Spear Master.
Yep.
So, and then after I didn't think about it, but Pete Dunne, I saw it afterwards. He attacked Sheamus. So I think Pete Dunne did not like being a member of the Brawling Brutes and having to have to change his name to Butch.
Makes sense.
We'll see what happens there. Yeah. Then you had the Drew McIntyre segment, which that dude's he's freaking out about CM Punk. Like,
I don't think he's not a huge fan of old CM Punk. Did Punk come back, or does he come back this week?
He might come back this week. I know Drew got suspended again by General Manager Adam Pearce. But
because he was losing his shit. Didn't he like throw Pearce or something when he got mad?
He threw some officials.
Oh,
so that's
right.
when he got suspended, and then they squared off, and then security got involved, which two of those security guards look pretty familiar.
They look very familiar. One of them. I actually have that picture queued up right now. Those fellas do look awfully familiar.
We have Jake Omen and Ashton Adonis.
Congratulations, boys.
Congratulations. So for those of you who don't know, those two wrestle for Singleton Wrestling out of Brazil, Indiana. So the level Signal 10 is getting higher and higher. We have WWE appearances showing up now. So get your tickets. Summer Bash is coming August 10th.
And I have the Minion picture pulled up. I thought I did. So check this out.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Bob.
I thought that was super interesting. So, so it was the Nazis. I can actually tell you right now because on the headline. The Nazis invented the Minions is the conspiracy theory, but basically the Nazis were testing some sort of chemical, and they were using those suits to see if they either blocked the chemical or they pretended like they were protecting them. I'm not really sure, but essentially they were just
is that why the crew has an accent?
Potentially, and that So I also learned that this isn't a conspiracy, but do you know their language is mixed up of a bunch of different languages combined, and it's called Minionese?
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it was like several languages hodgepodge together. I remember that.
Who'd have thought we'd get into Minions on the wrestling show today?
Well, you brought it up. I thought about Jawas. I saw that today or the other day, and I was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah,
but
it also apparently comes from nothing.
Well, there we go. That's good to know. That's all I got for Monday Night Raw, and
I'll be completely honest.
I got some.
I'm about to go into Stone Cold. What?
You're going to be honest. What?
No, I said I was about to go into Stone Cold and start doing the what? What? Oh. You were just cracking me. Oh. You're back now.
That happens.
Yeah. Okay. Happy to be back.
NXT side. Thank you. The NXT side of things. The Rascals made an appearance. That was the first time the Rascals have been in the wrestling ring in 4 years.
And they are a TNA tag team, correct?
Yeah, 2 of the 3 are in TNA. West Lee is in NXT, and then they formed up or they hung out. And then during that match, I think it was the tag match, Joe Hendry showed up, and he was on commentary, and it was very entertaining.
Ooh,
yeah,
interesting. So I have a trouble getting into NXT. I'm going to be completely honest. I usually skim through the highlights on Twitter, or my kid likes to watch it, so I'll watch it with him if he's here watching it. But I struggle with that one. I don't know if it's because I don't really know any of them, so I'm not invested in a lot of them. I like when the TNA people show up, but I feel like I like the TNA people more than I like most of the NXT ones usually. I don't know why.
I don't mind watching it from time to time. It's just I don't know. So like when I'll sit there and watch and I'm trying to make notes, I don't know their names. So I'm like person A, person B, and then I'm just like, I don't know. And I go back later and hash it out, but I didn't do that this time. But
and I think too, like if some of the people that we know start getting involved in that, like obviously that would make me want to watch it. Or like I don't know. I think it's just they always kind of position it as their developmental thing. Like it was like an undercard show. So I don't know. I kind of mentally checked out. And their show is bright as shit. Like lighting wise, it is by far the brightest show. Like it almost hurts my eyeballs.
It is pretty bright. I will give you that.
They have way too many.
That's all I got. That's all I have for NXT because I don't know much of the people. I know Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They finally got a victory in an intergender 6-man tag or something. I don't know what they call it.
Your favorite?
Yeah. We can move on to AEW now, which was they just had their 250th episode, and it was I don't know if they started the show off. Was it the start off? Did they start off the 25 with the MJF match?
Yeah, it starts. Sorry, I thought you were getting into a sentence, and then I thought you were like having a malfunction. I was like, oh no, they've hacked Evan's brain now.
No, he's losing it. Yeah, so I watched the highlights and like fast forward, and the highlights in fast forward of that one match was 15 minutes. So how long was this damn match?
I don't know the exact time. I can look it up and find out here momentarily. But we started it last night we had got home after practice, so we started it at probably 8:30, and I want to say it had to have been close to 9 or after 9, and it was still going strong. I think we went through 3 or 4 commercial breaks, I believe. And I know I checked out and that's when I was sending you shirts last night because I had checked out and started designing things on my computer. And my kid was sitting over there. He was checked out, messing around, doing other stuff. And then finally he was like, I think I'm going to go to bed. So I was like, okay. I mean, and I get wanting to do the long matches, but it's got to mean something. And I mean, don't get me wrong. They set up the story. They did the angle where he was in the ring with Daniel Garcia and Ospreay slided him and kind of stepped in. And then MJF ended up winning the title. Is it the It's not the Intercontinental international title.
Yeah.
So MJF is the new international champion. He did end up winning. There was some fuckery that happened at the end of the match. I can't remember. Again, like I said, I checked out about midway through, and it was, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a good match. It was awesome, but it wasn't anything attention grabbing. Like, and I feel like if you're going to do that, give or take about every 5 minutes, you like, especially with people's attention spans, mine included. Like, if you want to do that, like, it's not the old days where Ric Flair was doing 60-minute Iron Man matches. That's not the way of the world, and that's for sure not the AEW fan base, because they were getting roasted on Twitter about people complaining about how long the match was. Well, yeah, because normally you feed them the ADD style wrestling where there's no story, there's no nothing. You just throw them out there and they do a 6-minute spot fest where they jump and flip off of every possible thing they can. So then when you put on a long wrestling match, people are like, what the hell is this? I don't know. And again, it was a great match. It was a very, very good, well done wrestling match, but with no context, with nothing, like they should have at least had, I mean, I guess they set it up the week prior. Like, I think they set this up a week prior. I could be wrong, but they're leading up to All In. So my guess is, yeah, was this advertised?
Yeah,
like, was this something?
I don't know. I know, so I can't watch it. So I have to watch the highlights. So I'm not as invested. So but then they, like, even on that highlight reel, they clipped like last week's show with this week's show. So I was getting lost. And then finally I just said, I'm done. I don't care anymore because I was like, when I'm watching MJF and then in the same highlight reel, I'm watching the Owen Hart Cup. And I'm like, I thought that was last week. What's going on here? So I'm like, I don't know. And I just click. So they lost me.
Well, and that's where I think like they have to like think those parts through, where have MJF come out and cut a promo. He's good at pissing everyone off. So let him come out and cut a promo. That way, if people missed last week's show, he's reiterating that he is the best and he is going to show you why he's the best. You think this dude's the best wrestler in the world? I'm going to take this guy the distance and I'm going to win that title and I'm going to shove it in your faces. However you go about it, he could have came out, cut a promo, pissed everybody off, put the fact that Ospreay is a great wrestler, put the fact that he did, was it Adam Cole that he went that super long Iron Man match with? I forget who it was that I think it was Adam Cole when they were doing their original feud. I could be wrong. Okay. But let him come out and cut a promo so you understand why the match is going as long as it is. Like, you're telling the story beforehand. And then on the commentary, I don't understand what they're doing. So there was a spot where they do the one jumps over, one ducks under, then one drops to their body, the other one jumps over. Okay, well, they either mistimed it or they misjudged the distance, but it worked. It was like they did it and it looked clean. It just wasn't your normal thing. Well, the announcers called it out on commentary. And I was like, because my kid looked at me and goes, wait, they didn't mean to do that? And I go, well, now you know that because the commentators just told you that they didn't know if it was accidental or on purpose. And it's like, why would you call this out? This is supposed to be a real fight. Why are you calling out that they just botched that? Even though it looked badass and they recovered and fixed it, it actually looked like they tried to do something new. I even in my head go, oh, that was something different. I've never seen that before. And then immediately after, I don't know if it was Shivani or who it was, one of them goes, well, I'm not sure if he did that on accident or if he did that on purpose. And it was like, who gives a shit? It looked cool and it worked. You just called out the botch that was happening. And then I don't know, obviously you see the stuff on Twitter, at least I do. Taz clearly has an ego. And I feel like he spends the whole time trying to get his stuff across and in that it almost takes away from the matches too, instead of them being excited and telling a story. Like, my kid and my wife both made that comment. They're like, what are the commentators talking about? Like, I'm not following what's happening. Apparently there's someone riding a motorcycle up and down. I don't know if it's a dirt bike or a 4-wheeler, but they are aggressively loud.
I don't know. Anyway,
that's good. Yeah, I do, because it keeps flying by and it's loud as shit. But yeah, I don't like. It's just I don't know why you would call attention to, especially when it looked cool. Updated as a 4-wheeler.
Okay.
But
Sounds like
yeah, I don't know
spring
why
roll.
you would call. Yeah, I don't think they are either. But I don't know why you would call attention to a botch even when it looked badass. Like it looked really cool and it looked like they were just trying to do a different version of something that they do in most matches. Like that's a spot that you watch and you're just like, oh, okay, I kind of see what they're getting ready to do. They're going to do this. They're going to jump. They're going to drop. They're going to do this. And like they almost broke up that monotony where I was like, oh, what a brilliant idea to mix that up and do something different. And then the announcers immediately called it out and was like, I don't know if he did that on accident or on purpose. And it was like, oh, you just called it out that it was a botch. Like that was stupid. Why did you do that?
Well, I feel like they're really wanting because Jim Ross isn't on Dynamite, is he? It's Taz in his place.
Yep, it's Taz, Shivani, and what's the luchador one?
Excalibur.
Yeah, Excalibur.
So I feel like Excalibur, they're really wanting him to be the play-by-play guy, and then Taz is the color, and then Shivani is just there because he was a legendary commentator back in the day.
Okay, so basically they're having Excalibur play-by-play. Shivani kind of plays either the good guy, bad guy, whatever. So he's supposed to play the good guy, and then Taz is playing the dickhead heel, which makes sense because there were also like Toni Storm came out and was cutting a promo, or she was getting ready to cut a promo, and he said like, get to it, bitch, or something like that over the commentary. And it was like, oh, that was aggressive, but it's, you can just tell they're being told how to play it and how to tell the story, and they're just doing it in their form. But I just, like I said, if you're already suspending your disbelief to watch wrestling. So like same thing with the Wyatt Six. If you have them coming out to save their leader and it's taking them 20 minutes to get to the ring, and you got 3 jacked Olympic wrestlers in the ring going, oh, I don't know where to go. Like you're like, okay, like, come on, let's get to it a little bit. So same concept here. If the commentators are, because like I feel like the commentating on WWE does that sometimes too, where especially with the supernatural stuff, they like, I told you that last time, that Pat almost seems like he's, I don't want to say like too cool for it, but like it's above him to like play that like get up on his seat and be scared, like holy shit, this ghost looking lady just crawled out from under the ring kind of deal. And I don't know. I feel like it's same thing there, where those commentators, like we've learned that with what we're doing, like the commentating, you're supposed to be telling the story. Like that's just like us putting like our podcast over throughout the whole show, where we're just constantly talking about what we're doing with the podcast or what we're doing with. Like,
that was a heck of a slam. Be sure to tune in the Diner Podcast Mondays and Thursdays. And then that clothesline, the Diner Podcast, up to the live show on Monday to the huge shout out. And then, oh my God, Hurricane Rana. Don't forget to tune in the Powerslam Platter on the Diner Podcast on Fridays.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're here to do a job. Do your fucking job. Like your job is, okay, we're going to talk about these guys. Put them over. Let's put them over. Let's tell the story. Let's make these guys look like rock stars so we keep our jobs. We shit on them. We are done. It's pretty black and white right there.
And it should be like that for every match too. I also feel like the energy shifts because of like who's in the ring or what's happening. Why are you not excited to watch everybody? You should be excited to watch the whole show. Ring announcing, like you should, because again, something we've learned with it. I go like I'm announcing the main event at WrestleMania every match because I want those guys to I hope be appreciative of what it is. Like I want them to feel that like that I'm giving it 100% of my energy for their ring introduction, because I hope it jacks them up. I hope it jacks the crowd up. Like that's the whole part of this. If we don't come out and give the correct energy, the crowd doesn't give that energy. Like it doesn't necessarily matter what you're saying. It's that energy. If you come out and you're having fun and you're invested in it and you're taking it seriously, everyone around you does because they like wrestling. That's what they're there for. So if I come in the ring and I go, now introducing from Las Vegas, Nevada, the end all be all, Ashton Adonis. Like no one's gonna be into that. But if I come out and I am hitting the cadence and I am now introducing, and you're going through the whole cadence, but you're getting that energy, you're going hard. Why not? Like I to me, and I look at it this way is people would give me shit if I went in there and did it half-assed like that. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? So who cares? Like, I'd rather go hard and people laugh at me because I go 100 miles an hour and scream at the top of my lungs for an independent wrestling show. But why not? Like, why not go there and give it everything I got?
And you get to be a kid. Like, I mean, literally, we're playing pretend. We're playing fantasy. So go balls to the wall. I mean, you could be like, especially as a commentator or ring announcer or whatever. I mean, you're getting paid to talk wrestling, to watch wrestling, to have fun with wrestling. Now, I can't say in WWE it might be more, stringent, but at our level, we're getting to have fun. We're getting to do what we want to do, and we have some parameters we got to stay in. But for the most part, it's just
do our thing. Well, I've only been mic'd up one time, like with an earpiece, to where I kind of know what's happening and what's going on, but they weren't really like, there was at no point where it was like getting told like what to say on commentary. Like it was like, hey, can you announce this real quick? Hey, can you throw to this real fast or whatever? But like, I know they have people in their ear kind of, and you can kind of hear that on commentary too, where they're like in the middle of a match and they're telling a story about another match, which I think that may have been during the MJF match as well, where they started telling the story about the Toni Storm and whoever she's fighting storyline. I forget who it was. That was it Mariah May? That may have been who it was. I can't remember who she's in story with. But they start telling that story. And I get it, because my kid looked over and goes, why are they talking about that? And I go, they're being told to talk about it, I think. Like, I'm guessing, I really don't know. Like they're just trying to further the storyline. But then if you're not invested in the match and you're basically cutting a commercial in the middle of the match, like, again, why would I care about your match? That's where, like, utilize one of your breaks or coming back in to throw to that real quick, or cut to the announce team before the Toni Storm promo to tell that story real fast. You're pulling people out of the match that you've put on for 25 minutes because people's attention span isn't that great anyway. And then you add on top of it that you're not invested. They're not like getting jacked up and excited. They didn't pop for anything until the end. And then even then it was like, wait, what? No, is he the champion? And then it wasn't until the ring announcer announced it that they knew that he was the champion. So and that was the way the spot was supposed to be. That was kind of how they set it up. But I feel like that energy goes such a long way.
Right. No, you're exactly right. It's just, you got to bring the energy. I mean, to keep people invested. I mean, I didn't hear the commentary during the MJF match, but I feel like if the commentary is still upbeat and positive, you're going to hold people in. Wrestling for 25 minutes is tough in this day and age, but I feel like the story's being told and they're being upbeat, excited, it's going to keep people focused a little longer.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and obviously the wrestling comes into play there as well. The wrestling has to be like exciting. They have to have enough different spots planned, and that you don't have to do a bunch of big spots, but you definitely have to do enough storytelling to keep people invested. You can't just do a bunch of like crazy moves over and over again. And then like, you have to have that story throughout to where people want to stick with you and watch for 25-30 minutes, because that's not an easy thing to do. And if you're not telling that story along the way, you're just watching different moves over and over at a fast pace, and then people start checking out. Like there's a multifacet to wrestling. It has to have good wrestling. You have to have a good story. Crowd helps tremendously, because obviously if the crowd's popping for big spots, if they're chanting back and forth because they're into it, the commentary plays a huge portion of it, because if you're watching it on TV and there is no commentary, then you're just watching a couple guys roll around and make noises, and there's not a whole lot of, like, it becomes weird. And then you add like the ring announcing portion again, the entrances, like there's all of this pageantry goes into wrestling. It's not just one piece of it. You can't just be good at the wrestling aspect of it. You have to be good at the facial expressions, the talking, the entrance, the movements, like all of these little details go into every one of these. And I think that's where, like, a lot of them need to kind of take that step back and fine tune it. Like, do what you're doing now, but fine tune it. Like, work on these little nuances of your movements, your motions, the storytelling, because that's such an intricate part. And I feel like the entrances too. My kid made the comment about it last night during AEW, where he was like, their entrance musics are weird. He was like, they don't like, they all like, they're weird. It doesn't, but none of them have that catch. They're all similar tones, similar sounds. They're all different, but like, you need that, where Braun Breaker is doing it, where he's adding the sirens. So not only is it a nod to the Steiners, where you're adding the sirens as like kind of the homage to them, but it also, people know as soon as those sirens hit exactly who the fuck is coming out. When that glass shattered, you didn't sit there and look up and go, oh, who might that be? Like when the fucking Undertaker's gong goes off, you weren't waiting to see, oh, wait, is that this guy or is that guy? Like, and some of them do it very well. Some of them have great entrance music. It pops right off, but that's because I watch it a lot now and I'm starting to get used to figuring out who's who. And, but it, like, a lot of times when you're watching it, like, it takes me until the Titantron flashes up there and shows me who the hell is coming out, or they walk on the stage where I'm like, I think I know who this is, but I'm not 100% sure. You don't have that, like Kane's fire. As soon as that thing hit, everything turned red. You knew exactly who was coming out. Mankind's car crash, like the Rock's If You Smell, like they all had this tag at the very first part. Road Dogg, the Oh You Didn't Know, Billy Gunn, I'm an Ass Man. Like they all hit right off the bat, and you know exactly who's coming out. It played right into their character. But I think that's part of the problem too, is there's not a lot of characters anymore. Like there's not a lot of, it's John Smith and he looks jacked and shredded just like the rest of them and does 75 flippy floppies, and then they call it a match, and that's what you get with a lot of them anymore. And I love that some people are bringing the characters back, like the Wyatt Six. Again, I hope they figure that out and they make it this badass supernatural thing. But I hope that they start bringing back, like MJF sometimes is a legit heel. He does not care and he's a legit heel, but then sometimes he kind of falls into that, like, ooh, I like that they're giving me this kudos, I guess. And he kind of falls into that a little more, where you kind of see him fall out of character. But he's one of the few that really stay into what he's doing. But I don't know. I feel like character-wise, if they all just take a step back and fine-tune those details and like just figure it out, figure out a hook, figure out that thing that comes out with your entrance music at the beginning that catches people, your motions, your facial expressions, like those, to me, those are the biggest portions of wrestling, because you're just portraying these emotions in the ring and getting people invested. Obviously, like what they do in the ring is absolutely incredible. We've gotten to see and be involved in a very, very small portion of it, so I don't want to take that away either. What these guys do in the ring is amazing. It makes no sense to me most of the time, but I just feel like there's that acting, not necessarily want to say acting portion, but just finding who you are and ramping that damn thing up to 1,000, and then it all should just kind of fall into place easily because you're just being yourself. And then you don't have those Damian Priest moments where you can tell that it's like an in-between thing. Like it's sort of him, but it's also sort of an act. And you're not getting that genuine to where when you watch that Eric Rowan promo, that was that motherfucker talking about two of his best buddies passing away. And he was real. He was in the moment. You could feel it. And that's when you get invested in it. And they could have made that like they didn't even need the whole Wyatt Six to come out. They could have played that promo and then just let that dude maniacally walk to the ring, not necessarily fast, not necessarily slow, but just looking like he means purpose. And he comes out there with that hammer and just takes them like it's a fair game where he's smashing the thing and just bludgeoning all of them. And you make him this legitimate, terrifying monster. All because of a promo that was super real. But that's where I think all of it comes into play, is if they all start like finding who they are and just keep ramping that shit up and find those over exaggerations. And I don't know, it makes wrestling what it is.
Yeah. No, I got you there. Did you know we have a TNA pay-per-view Saturday night?
Yeah, is it Slammiversary?
Slammiversary. I have the card. But last night, the Hardys showed up. They wrestled their match in about 7 years in TNA last night. And
that's
Jeff Hardy
awesome.
left on a stretcher.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Like for real or like part of the story?
Well, JD put his head between a chair and ran the chair into the pole, the post.
Oh.
So he left on a stretcher. Yeah.
All right.
So we have the match card for Slammiversary Saturday. Mike Santana versus Jake Something. Matt Hardy versus JDC, which is Fandango in another life. We have the Rascals teaming up versus the No Quarter Catch Crew. Now, the No Quarter Catch Crew is NXT, so we have a TNA versus NXT match.
Oh.
And then we have the System defending their tag team titles versus ABC. And then what we got here? AJ Francis versus PCO, which for the Digital Media and International Heavyweight Championships. Mustafa Ali versus Mike Bailey for the X Division. Jordan Grace versus Ash by Elegance for the Knockout title. And then we have a big main event. It's the heavyweight title. Moose versus Nick Nemeth, Steve Macklin, Josh Alexander, Joe Hendry, and Kazarian.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
All right. So if I remember correctly, I think I saw that Slammiversary is free on the TNA Plus app this weekend.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure if that means you have to like subscribe to their app or how that all works, but I do believe if you have TNA Plus, you get Slammiversary for free this weekend.
Oh, well, they've now dropped to $9.99 a month now, so they're getting
so really you could get it if you got it for a month, you could get TNA to where you could watch it for a month, but you would also get the pay-per-view for free. So that's not a bad deal. For $10, you get to watch TNA for a month plus a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I feel like that's not a bad deal.
Not bad at all.
But I hope Joe Hendry pulls out the dub. He did put Moose through a table last night. I saw.
I mean, story-wise, that would be the
him.
smartest, because then you have the TNA title traveling back and forth. He's been on NXT a ton, so I mean, then you have Jordan Grace going back and forth and Joe Hendry going back and forth, because clearly he's getting a monster reaction every time he goes out there. So
that he does. I'd like to see Moose show up on NXT too with the title. That'd be cool.
Yep.
But
well, so then either way,
the time will tell. Yeah.
Yep. Is that like some sort of crazy match, or is it just
when I looked online, it's just what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 6-man wrestling match. They didn't have they didn't have a name board or anything, so it's just I guess we call it 6-pack challenge. I don't know. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Obviously, no disqualification, because there's no way to disqualify one of 6 men.
Yeah, you got five championships. Well, 6 technically. One's a double championship. Yes, 6 titles on the line this Saturday night. So starts at 7 p.m. Eastern.
I'll probably get on TNA's website and subscribe to that. Why not? I mean, for $10, you get to watch the pay-per-view, and I'll get to watch TNA for the next month.
Yeah, that'd be good, because you can't find it on regular television. No.
Sorry, my child's leaving.
Oh, you're buddy.
Buddy.
You are good.
But do you want to get into a little independent promotion? We got a couple wrestling shows coming up. Before we get to the ones we're involved in, I did see one online that I thought I would throw up here because it involved a lot of the usual suspects that we run into, but it was kind of a close one. There's a fair in Bicknell, Indiana, and some of our usual ones we run into, Clayton Clark, Jay Silva, and the Mad Bash champion Chris Cutler will all be involved in this show. So if you're in the Bicknell area, it looks like they have a cool fair, and they'll be wrestling. I think was that tonight, or I think it was tonight.
Yeah, Knox County Fair.
Yeah, the Knox County Fair tonight at 7:00. So if you're in the area or you just want to go watch some wrestling, go hang out at a fair, those boys put on a great show. So go have some fun.
That they do. And then coming up August 3rd will be the Newcastle Agony Show. Signal 10 will be traveling to Newcastle, Indiana, and they will be putting on a great show up there, followed by a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu show, tournament or what it is, but that follows immediately after the Newcastle show.
Aforementioned WWE bodyguard Jake Oman will be taking on Elijah Eros in a non-title match.
Absolutely. And then we have the other graphic for the other match. Yes, Shank Barzini takes on Clayton Clark.
Barzini.
There we go.
So,
and then we move ahead to
weeks in a row.
That's true. We move ahead to August 10th, Summer Bash, and that is the tickets are on sale now, so get them. There's been 3 matches announced. The Jake Oman will defend his heavyweight title against Josh Raymond. And then
I do not have that graphic.
The Diner Podcast. Oh, it's okay. The Diner Podcast champion Sam Knight will be facing Ashton Adonis. And then the third match will be a women's match. Leela Feist making her return versus Stella Buho. She's making her debut. So that sounds like the card's getting good. So get your tickets now.
Fun night.
And then it will be a blast. Absolute blast. And then coming up August 17th, I don't think we have a graphic, but Hybrid Championship Wrestling will be doing their show in West Terre Haute.
Yeah, so we get 3 weeks of wrestling coming up very soon. I'm very excited.
It's a lot of fun. So if you've not been to those shows, go. You won't be disappointed.
Absolutely. If you are a wrestling fan at all and you go enjoy a fun night, they put on a hell of a show, and you get to listen to us yell in the ring and do commentary. So, well, if you sit close to us, you get to listen to us do commentary. So reserve your seats next to the commentators.
Exactly. That's where the most fun's at.
Always.
Always.
Well, do we want to wrap this bad boy up, or do you have any other?
No, that is. I'm bone dry. So I was looking, double checking my notes. But I want to take this time to thank our sponsors for letting us do what we do. Wabash Valley Plumbing, Wabash Valley Adult and Teen Challenge, Pappy's Barbecue, Peak Performance Gym, ML Productions, U.S. Lawns Terre Haute, RJ's Formal Wear, and Stitch Apparel.
Nailed it, I think.
No, I just back to Godzilla. Yeah, I should have just read that.
You're back to Godzilla mode, so that's okay. You did great.
Oh, thank you. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Powerslam Platter.
Nailed it.
The podcast platform. There we go.
Good job. There we go. You got close enough.
Yeah. There's a lot of peas. I got a lot of peas going on.
It's the pee-pee show.
Yeah. Hey, Tim. You see my wiener roaming around the area.
Yeah. So you have stuck your wiener in a lot of places this week.
Well, and luckily
you gotta be careful. You're gonna catch something.
Never. I have a gold wiener. I'm a gold member, baby.
You have the gold member. You had 7 inches of golden fury.
Paint my Yoo-hoo gold. Yeah.
Oh,
all righty.
Well, have fun today, homie, and we will be back next week with some more wrestling. Bye.